Hey there, it's your host Dan. We're up to part 14 of the C4 front end crash repair I'm doing myself, DIY, and now the car's back from the body shop. I got the frame straightened. It was kicked over 13 millimeters at the very front on the passenger side frame rail, about 4 millimeters towards the back of the engine compartment. That got taken care of, and before I took that over, they had me pull all the ground effects off, both sides of the car, and all the wheel wells all completely out. That way they could get their clamps down underneath on the frame, and they couldn't without me pulling those parts off. So while those are off, I brought it back home and I've got it jacked up. I'm doing a few things to it right now. Doing a brake fluid flush because that's been in there for 20 plus years, and I also just completed a power steering fluid flush, which that's been in there for about 20 years. The fluid was just ridiculously green, dark, and black. So that's what I'm working on right now. You can obviously see in the master here the fluid is a lot clearer since we did the flush here in the front. I've got to clean up the wheels. The baskets of the wheels are pretty dirty. All the suspension components in here are pretty darn filthy, so I got to come in here and detail out all this, put the fender wells back in, and then continue on with dry fitting all the parts, make sure everything lines back up. This is one of the front wheels, and you can see all that dirt inside the basket. This has just been in there for over 20 years. It's going to be kind of tough to get off. I've got another one out there in the yard I'm already working on getting cleaned up. Here we go. I have this one here. I scrubbed it down a couple times with super clean, and I just hit it with a iron remover, and I'm going to spray this one off about as good as I can get it. It's not going to be perfect, but I got to get going, get that other one done because I'm losing daylight hours and I need to work quick. Let's see what kind of fluid comes out here on the passenger side. Break that bleeder open just a little bit. This is a 10 millimeter here. Pretty easy to open. It's not rusted at all into place or anything bad like that, which is good. It's going to gravity bleed just a little bit, and wow, that stuff's pretty amber. It's pretty dirty. I'm going to go in the car and apply the brakes a few times, slowly in and out. Start bleeding this. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Everything's nice, clean, and clear. I'm gonna go ahead and close off that bleeder screw. Here's what we got from the passenger side, draining it out. Pretty icky. Nice and clean and clear now. It's just easy enough for me to do this while I have the tires off. Go and fill up the master cylinder and top that up on our primary reservoir. Okay, so here's what I got done in about 5 hours worth of time. Kind of bust ass work. I just got only the passenger side done. I got all the suspension cleaned up, and wow, that was really quite the chore, the detail to get this all cleaned. You can see there's a massive ball of just, this was probably about 2 or 3 times taller. It got wet from all the brake cleaner. I used probably about 2 cans of brake cleaner and some super clean over here. The caliper, I hit it with a small little wire brush and got that all cleaned up. Took it apart, just checked the pads. The pads are fine. Relubed the sliders, relubed everything, just made sure everything was okay on the brakes. Brakes are good on this side. Over here we got rim central going on, and I took these outside and washed the baskets with super clean pretty extensively. Iron decontaminated them, brought them inside, hit them with a clay bar too, just sparingly because they're chrome on the inside and they don't really do a lot of the chrome. It's a very thin layer, so like right here, there's nothing that can be done about that unless these were re-chromed. But they're nice and clean, and since I went that extent, I used some of my Jescar power lock and put that on the insides too as well. Hopefully that'll lessen the future brake dust and crud from sticking to the wheels. But there was a lot of stuff on the inside of the wheels. It could almost account for almost like a wheel weight. There was just so much crud on the inside of the baskets. So once again, here's our nice clean, shiny suspension, or a clean looking brake caliper. I mean, I know somebody might say, oh, you could paint it, but you know, I don't really care about that. Painting my calipers, I don't really need them to stand out. It's not like I have Brembos or anything like that. Look at it on this side, you can see the difference. And then down in here, so this stuff is it's just caked on here. So I got my work cut out for me. I gotta get over here and completely clean this side and make it look like the other side. Probably take me about another 5 hours. This grease down here is really tough. Driver's side is now done. Took me about 4 hours. It is so hard to get all that crud out of there. I can't get every last little speck of it, but I've got about 99% of it. Here in the frame, I give it a little dust coat, and I fix that rust down there in the corner. Wire brush and some rust converting paint. On the driver's side, I got the tire back on. Wheel wells all reinstalled. Everything's looking all nice and pretty. Suspension's all clean. Ooh, could almost eat off of it. Nah, I don't think I'd go that far, but it's pretty clean. At least my hands aren't going to be getting like filthy dirty, but they still do every time. But eventually, hopefully they won't. If you notice that tape measure there on the floor, I did my own toe and go self-alignment. And what I found was that my front wheels were towed out a ½ inch. Before my little bump into the wall, I had replaced the steering wheel in my car. Ever since I did that, the wheel was never straight. It was crooked immediately after replacing it. There was no issue prior to that. So I'm straightening the wheel, and I'm using the tape measure to measure from wheel to wheel. It's fairly accurate if you hold the tape measure perfectly level. And my little trick for this, I almost needed a helper, but I figured out a way to just do it myself, and here I'll show you how I got that done. I took some tape and I taped one end of the tape measure on the passenger side in the tread, and I set it so that it's maybe about at the maybe about 8 o'clock position, maybe about 7:30, and then pulled it over to the other side and measured on the exact point on the tread on the other side, got a measurement, and did that also on the front. Most of these shops that you take your car to alignment, that's all they're going to do is just, you know, give you a quick tow and go, charge you $100. So I got it to 1/16 towed in, and that should be a lot better. It should make the tires wear a lot more evenly. Next up will be this wheel well. This is one of the rear ones. When I picked my car up after the frame got straightened at the body shop, I found this in the passenger seat. They took one of the rears out, I guess, who knows, maybe to clamp it a little further back, I guess. So I've got to put that back in, but of course, before I put it back in, I've got to go take that out and give that the rigmarole and give that super clean and washed. So I got this for the back end, jacking up the back end of the car because it's ridiculously tough. I have this, it's called Corvette. Don't ask me where I got it. I got it like 20 years ago. I'm not sure if that place is still in business. They still sell this particular piece. It's basically like a T-bar piece of heavy iron, and this is going to fit on my jack pedestal like that, and this notch is going to go right up underneath the car and catch it right on the diff, right in between the exhaust. The exhaust, one pipe will be like right here and the other pipe will be like right there. So here's how that works. It just goes right up underneath, catches on the edge of the diff right in between the exhaust pipes, just that straight up part of it. It'll get it in the notch, and this way I can raise it, because otherwise you can't jack this up from the rear end without smashing the exhaust pipes. Now that I'm up in the air and I got some stands under it, I can safely work under the car. And one thing I just want to say, I've seen some videos lately with people where they're just working under a car with just a floor jack holding it up, and man, I think that's nuts. You are taking your life in your own hands when you do that. Always use jack stands, and I even got chocks under the front wheels too, as well, for added safety. Well, I'm pretty glad that I'm taking the time to take my time and detail everything out and check everything, because I found a screw here in one of my back tires, which this wheel always had a slow leak, and it had a slow leak on a previous set of tires, so I thought something might have been messed up with the rim. It took about 2 months and it would drop down to a little under 20 psi. So I'm going to get this fixed, and hopefully that'll fix the slow leak issue I've always had on this one wheel. I put the ground effects on both sides. I got that back on. Wow, a lot of work this weekend, at least 24 hours. Some of it straight through the night into the next day. I had a lot to do. We got the power steering flushed, brake fluid flushed, front and rear, oil changed. I did that toe and go alignment, detailed all 4 wheels, put all the wheel wells back in, detailed all the wheel wells, got the ground effects back on, got that screw fixed in the tire, one of the rear tires. So that's a lot of work. Wow, almost probably about $1,000 worth of work got done. Next video, we're going to get back to the crash repair, putting Humpty Dumpty back together after his fateful fall. I think I should almost call my car Steve, like $6 million man. It's been a lot of work. So hope you enjoyed watching the video, and as always, thanks for watching.